Hello, friends. We have been learning and reflecting upon cinema for several weeks now, examining its history, its language, its power to move and to persuade. You have each encountered films that made you think, feel, and question in new ways. Today, I want to bring our reflections together in a short general lecture, one that revisits the question at the heart of our study: what is cinema and why does it matter? I want us to look at cinema as an art form, a medium of communication, a teaching machine, and a powerful global industry. And finally, I want to ask whether cinema, in its evolving future, can still change lives. Let's take a moment to think about what happens when the lights go down and the screen begins to glow. For a brief time, the boundaries of our lives dissolve. We enter another world, and yet it feels like our own. That is the power of cinema. A mirror that reflects our humanity, but also a window that opens to infinite others. Today, I want to speak about cinema not simply as entertainment, but as one of the most important human inventions. It is an art form, a medium of communication, a teaching machine, and an economic powerhouse that touches nearly every aspect of global life. And perhaps, most importantly, we'll ask, can cinema change lives? Because if it cannot, then all the beauty, all the glamour, all the billion-dollar productions only shadows on the cave ball. But if it can, then cinema becomes something sacred, a form of cultural and moral imagination. When we call cinema an art form, we are recognizing that it does what art has always done: express the inexpressible. The early pioneers, such as the Lumiere brothers, Georges Méliès, D.W. Griffith, and later Sergei Eisenstein, whose picture you're seeing at the lower right hand side of the screen, were not just inventors of technique, they were poets of movement and light. Eisenstein's montage theory, for instance, taught us that meaning is created not just within shots, but between them, in the cut, in the juxtaposition, in the rhythm of thought itself. Cinema fuses multiple arts into one: the composition of painting, the rhythm of music, the drama of theater, and the narrative drive of literature. A great film is like a symphony of the senses. Think of the way light and shadows tell a story in Citizen Kane, or how color itself becomes emotion in The Mood for Love. The filmmaker becomes a philosopher of perception. As Tarkovsky said, cinema is the art of sculpting in time. That phrase captures what makes film unique. It is not just about what we see, but how time and consciousness flow through what we see. Cinema can elevate the ordinary. Italian neorealism, for example, turned the struggles of working class people into poetry. Bicycle Thieves or Rome Open City show us that art is not confined to beauty, but often found in pain, perseverance, and truth. And yet, art in cinema is not only in its high forms. Even popular cinema, superhero films, romantic comedies, science fiction, when crafted with care, can reveal the desires, fears, and values of a culture. Every frame of a film is a brushstroke on the canvas of our collective consciousness. Cinema communicates not through words, but through experience. Unlike print or speech, cinema communicates directly to our senses through light, color, sound, and rhythm. This makes it one of the most powerful communication media ever created. Silent cinema was universal. Charlie Chaplin never needed translation. His little tramp spoke to human vulnerability everywhere. Even now, films cross borders more easily than books or speeches. Cinema carries emotion in a way that bypasses intellectual resistance. It is also a tool for mass communication and social influence. In the 20th century, film became a global teacher of ideology. Hollywood shaped dreams of freedom and success. Soviet cinema taught collective struggle. Bollywood celebrated song, love, and moral destiny. In each case, cinema didn't just mirror society, it constructed it. Films can ignite revolutions or comfort tyrants. Leni Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will showed the dangerous power of image as propaganda. Meanwhile, films like Selma, Do the Right Thing, and The Great Dictator use the same medium for resistance, to question authority and awaken conscience. Cinema is our shared vocabulary. It gives shape to what a culture loves, fears, and aspires to become. When young people in different countries talk about The Matrix or Black Panther, they're engaging in a global dialogue about power, identity, technology, and freedom. Cinema, then, is a planetary conversation, one conducted not in words, but in images. Cinema educates in ways no textbook can. It teaches not through memorization, but through empathy. A film allows us to live other lives, to travel through time, to understand suffering and joy beyond our own. Watching Schindler's List, we don't just learn about the Holocaust, we feel its moral weight. Seeing The Social Network, we don't just study technology, we reflect on ambition, loneliness, and the price of creation. Cinema can awaken what the Brazilian educator Paulo Freire called critical consciousness, the ability to question power and see the world as changeable. Every socially engaged film, from Aaron Brockovich to 13, can serve as a kind of public pedagogy. In classrooms, film becomes a bridge between theory and lived experience. A student who may struggle to grasp abstract philosophy can understand existentialism instantly after watching Ikiru or Groundhog Day. As a teaching machine, cinema expands our moral imagination. It lets us practice empathy safely, and that makes us more prepared to act ethically in the real world. Of course, cinema is not only art and education, it is also business, and a massive one at that. The global film industry generates over approximately $90 billion a year. And when we include streaming, gaming crossovers, and merchandising, that figure multiplies. Hollywood remains a dominant force, but it now shares the stage with Bollywood in India, Nollywood in Nigeria, and a growing number of regional and independent cinemas from South Korea, Mexico, and the Middle East, just to name a few. Film shapes tourism. Think of how Lord of the Rings transformed New Zealand's economy, or how Game of Thrones boosted the economy of Northern Ireland. It also drives fashion, music, and technology. Streaming has democratized access but also raised new questions. What happens to artistic diversity when algorithms decide what we watch? How do local filmmakers compete when global giants control distribution? Yet, even in this industrial complexity, we should not forget every movie still begins with one person's imagination. Behind the box office numbers are human beings trying to make meaning out of chaos. So, where is cinema going? We stand at a crossroads. Artificial intelligence, AI, is already assisting in script writing, editing, and even acting. Virtual production, like what we saw in the Mandalorian, merges physical and digital worlds. Audiences can now experience films through virtual reality or interactive platforms where they choose the narrative path. Some critics fear that this will destroy the human touch. Others see it as evolution, just as sound replaced silence or color replaced black and white. But I believe the future of cinema depends less on technology and more on intention. If filmmakers use AI to expand imagination, cinema will flourish. If they use it merely to imitate, to reduce storytelling to formula, cinema will lose its soul. The theater experience itself is also evolving. Young audiences still crave the shared ritual of seeing a film on a big screen, but they also expect participation, immersion, and social meaning. The challenge for filmmakers is to keep the sacred communal experience alive in an age of isolation. Cinema will survive as long as humans need to tell stories and as long as we need to see ourselves reflected in others. Yes, not only can cinema change lives, it already has for millions. Consider how Philadelphia changed public understanding of AIDS, or how Blackfish shifted the conversation about animal rights. Rocky inspired countless people to believe in perseverance. The color purple, Hidden Figures, and Everything Everywhere All at Once gave underrepresented voices a place in the collective imagination. Cinema reaches the heart before the mind. It can inspire compassion, courage, and creativity. Sometimes a film doesn't change the world directly, it changes us, and we change the world. Many of us carry a personal turning point film, that one story that made us rethink who we are or what matters. That is cinema's sacred gift, to awaken something dormant inside the viewer. So, friends, cinema is many things at once: a masterpiece of technology, an art of emotion, a language of humanity, and a massive global enterprise. But more than that, it is a mirror. When we look at cinema, we are really looking at ourselves, our fears, our desires, our contradictions. The future of cinema will depend on whether we use it to escape reality or to engage it more deeply. The great directors, from Chaplin to Bong Joon-ho, remind us that film's ultimate purpose is not just to entertain, but to humanize. And cinema can change the way we see, and in doing so, change the way we live. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you next time.